welcome back. Jeff Heggie, Daily Success Strategies. Thanks for being with me today. Hope things are going great for you. What I want to talk about today is how will you measure your life? How will you measure success in your life? The reason I want to talk about that is in one of my mastermind groups, I have a friend that is taking a course through Harvard, and it's an online course that she's taken, and it's facilitated by Clayton Christensen. Now, Clayton Christensen was an amazing guy. He passed away in January of 2020, but the things he contributed are amazing. But I want to just talk about one specific thing that has always stood out to me from his work. And that was an article in the Harvard Business Review called How Will You Measure Your Life? So that's what I want to talk about because there's so many lessons that can be learned from it. So he was asked to come speak to a class in 2010. And it was a graduating class at Harvard Business. And he came down to 3 questions. He says, how can you be sure that you're going to be happy in your career? How can you be sure that your relationships with your spouse and your family can become an enduring source of happiness? And the third one was, how can you be sure you can stay out of jail? Now, I'll talk more about that, but in reality, in his Rhodes Scholar class, 2 of the 32 people ended up spending time in jail, including Jeff Skilling, who is of Enron fame. So first of all, let's talk about how will you find happiness in your career. And these are things that I really want you to look at for yourself, but also if you're an entrepreneur, business owner, manager, whatever, these are things that you need to be aware of and understand how to apply. So Frederick Hertzberg, he had a theory, and what it said was that the powerful motivator in our lives is not money. It's the opportunity to learn, grow in responsibility, contribute to others, and be recognized for achievements. Now, if we look back at some of my previous episodes, these kind of all fall into that as well. And the importance of making a difference. That's what I talked about the other day. So I want to talk about this a little bit because what Clayton Christensen did is he shared a story. He said, imagine yourself as a manager and you've got an employee that she leaves for work in the morning. She's got good, high self-esteem. She's happy. And she gets to work and 10 hours later, she heads home from work. But 10 hours later, she's feeling underappreciated. She's feeling frustrated. She's feeling underutilized. She's feeling demeaned. Her self-esteem's lower. Imagine the interaction with her family, with her kids, with her spouse, and just the overall feeling that she has. Now imagine the same person. She leaves in the morning with the good self-esteem. But think of her 10 hours later when in her position, in her employment, she feels like she's learned a lot. She's been recognized. She's been recognized for achieving valuable things in the company. She feels that she's played a significant role in the successes of important things within the company. Her self-esteem's higher. Imagine then, what is her relationships? What is her interaction going to be when she gets home with her family? So you look at just that question. When we look at how do you find happiness in your career? To be really happy in your career, you need those things. You need those fulfillments. You know, you hear people talking about dreading going to work on Monday. You hear all those sort of things. And I think a lot of that is because these are the things that are missing. And so Clayton Christensen also said that management is the most noble of professions if it's practiced well. And it's because no other occupation has the ability to offer this to people that work for you. You've got the responsibility and the ability to be able to make people feel fulfilled in the roles that they're feeling. So I want you to think of that. Now, how can we be sure that our relationships with our spouse and family become an enduring source of happiness? So one of the things he talks about, and you can do this yourself, look at your peers since you graduated, if you're at that age. So look at the peers, and if you've gone back to reunions or anything like that, how often are the peers that you were with in high school or university or whatever, are they divorced? Are they depressed? Are they having all these problems? And, you know, you look back at them, nobody graduates saying, you know, I'm going to deliberately take the strategy of getting divorced and raising children that are going to be disowning me and not happy. No one's going to do that, right? So what he talks about is these are the people that didn't keep their purpose in life front and center and most important in everything that they do. Now, this is something that I think really is applicable in my Momentum series. And if you haven't gone through the Momentum series, it's free. Go to jeffheggie.com/momentum, go through that. There's a section in there called the 7 Levels Deep. It's something I learned from Dean Graziosi, and it helps you to really find your why. And I think it's really applicable here because it helps you find your purpose behind the things that you're doing. So go through that exercise because I think this is vital. So again, share a story of his. So when he was a Rhodes Scholar, it was a crazy schedule that he was in. And he was trying to do it in one less year than normal, so everything was packed on him. He's a very religious person. And so one of the things he promised himself was he was going to spend 1 hour a night studying scripture, praying, getting to know himself and getting to know God better. Now, in the position he was in, that 1 extra hour could definitely have been used for studying. But that was something that he committed to, and he said he was going to make sure that was part of his life. And he was able to do that through his whole schooling. He says, I apply the tools of econometrics a few times every year, but I apply my knowledge of the purpose of my life every day. So without purpose, our lives can be very hollow. We've got to have that purpose in our life. And that's why I say, even understanding your why behind your goals and the things you're doing. Go through my Momentum series and really make sure that you're getting a handle on this and really understand what your purpose in life is. So in his last question, how do we stay out of jail, or how do we live with integrity? So oftentimes in business schools, he talked about learning in business school that when you're making decisions, there's certain things that you need to ignore when you're looking at finances and economics. And you need to look at the marginal costs, the marginal expenses, those sort of things. And oftentimes, even unconsciously, we do that in our own lives. When we look at things and we look at the costs and we think, you know what, just this one time. It won't be bad if I do it just this one time. But the marginal costs of doing something just once, it may seem low, but it might be detrimental. It's that just this one time can turn into a lot of other things. And so the story that really stands out to me that he tells in this article as well is when he was at Oxford going to university, he was on the basketball team. I have a picture next to him, and he is tall. I believe he is 6'8". And so he is the starting center for this Oxford basketball team. And they had an undefeated season, and they went into the finals. The final tournament, which is equivalent to the NCAA tournament here in America. And they made it all the way to the Final Four. And they get there, they find out that semifinal game is on a Sunday. Now, I had mentioned before, he was a very religious person, and he made a promise to himself and God when he was 16 years old that he had never play basketball on Sundays. So he had a conflict here. He went and talked to his coaches and said, I've made the decision, I'm not going to play. And of course, his coaches were disappointed. And of course, they tried to talk him out of it. As I said, he's the starting center of the team. And then as his friends, the players on the team were his best friends. And as they all found out, they started having the conversations, just this once, can't you just break your rules this once? And he thought about it, and it would be something that in a lot of ways he could justify. Others are dependent on him, all these different things. But he decided not to. He says, I thought about it one Sunday out of several thousand Sundays in my life. Couldn't be that bad if I just this one time and never again, right? But he says it's proven, he never did play. But he says it's proven to be one of the most important decisions of his entire life. And you ask why? And he says, because his entire life has been an unending stream of extenuating circumstances. If he would have done it just this once, the next time would have been that much easier to say, well, just this once I can justify it. And the next time, just this once I can justify it. Now, back in a long time ago, episode 168, I did an episode called 100% is easier than 99%. That's exactly what he said. He said what he decided after this was that committing to something 100% is easier than committing to 99%, because if he had committed 99% and done it just this once, he probably would have done it more and more. So as you're looking at those things, integrity is a big thing. How do you stay out of jail? You've got to be true to yourself. You've got to be true to the decisions you've made and those extenuating circumstances. You've got to decide ahead of time how you're going to react to them. Ask yourself the 3 questions that he asked. How can you ensure that you're going to be happy in your career? How can you be sure that your relationships with your spouse and your family will become an enduring source of happiness? And how are you going to stay out of jail? How are you going to keep your integrity? Now, I strongly recommend going and reading the article. It's a Harvard Business Review, Clayton, Christensen, How Will You Measure Your Life? It's a great article, strongly recommend it. But something I really want you to think about. I mentioned yesterday, we launched our new mastermind, the Skilled Service Success Mastermind Group. It's going to be absolutely amazing. If you're in a skilled service industry, this is something you need to check out. And you can find the link in my bio. You can go to jeffheggie.com/skilled service success and find out more about it. But we're taking applications right now for our founders group, and it's going to be something that's absolutely amazing, because I've talked about masterminds before and the power in them and the ability to take yourself and your business to another level when you're working with like-minded individuals. But not only are we putting together a strong group of individuals, we're bringing in other resources that are going to be so powerful. So I strongly encourage you, go check that out, and hopefully it's something that you'll see the value in and apply for it. And hopefully it's something that you're a good fit and you'll be able to join us. But check that out, jeffheggie.com/skilled service success, and you can see what it's all about. Thanks again for being with me. I'll be back with you again tomorrow.